So welcome back, Planet Nomads, to another episode. I have been having loads of fun, once again, with weird things happening in the game with this design. And so I went about doing some cosmetic upgrading. I've added more lights on the upper areas, highlighting the air blades, and I started having problems. Whereas last episode, we were able to get this flying. I came back later, and it would no longer fly. I didn't change anything. It just wouldn't fly. And the problem I ran into was because the lower air blades were on a separate power set of switches. They were already on when I turned on the main chunk of air blades up above, and it just would not lift. It would not respond to vertical commands, and turning off the lower air blades and turning them back on let it fly. So I changed the power structure around, and now I have a, well, I need to rename it, but it's going to be AIRBLADES. Well, if I could type AIRBLADES main. So we have a central power point for all the air blades. So if I hit this, every air blade turns off. And, you know, that's the lower ones, the top ones. So with 6 lower air blades and the normal upper air blades I had, everything was flying again. And so I decided, where the air blades were on that section right there in the middle of the screen, I moved them up. I decided I would take the 6 air blades, replace them, and add more for 10 air blades. And now that I've added those, I've added more air blades. It won't fly again. If I turn off the lower air blades by going to their respective switches, it'll let me start hovering very slowly upwards. But if I turn them back on, even if I'm in the air, it won't let me move anymore. And I have triple checked them. I have done so many, you know, removed them, placed them back, done all of that, made sure everything is matched correctly. And it's still just, if they're on, I cannot fly vertically at all. I don't know why. And now it's not even lifting up very much with the other air blades. And yet last time I played, this was working. So it's just really inconsistent. I don't know why. I've checked this so many times, just about to pull my hair out, trying to figure out why turning on more air blades doesn't work. I even added 2 more deuterium generators, which when everything is turned on, they're at 71%. I thought maybe I didn't have enough power for the increasing amount of torque needed to raise this up. No. Didn't make a difference. And yeah, it's just weird. It was working, then it stopped working. I fixed it, got it working again, then it stopped working. And oh look, now it's working again. So it's very strange. Like I spent at least an hour last time since the last episode when I moved the air blades. At least an hour toying with this. And I even closed the game completely, came back in, tried just what I did right there. The exact same thing. Turned off the lower air blades and turned them back on, and it would not lift at all. And that is just completely, I don't know what's going on with it. That is completely strange that it works randomly. But now that this is in the air, I am not letting it land again. This is going to stay in the air from now on. And with that said, you can hear, maybe a little bit, there's a lot more of the air blade noise here. And while it was suggested, and I really didn't want to do this, I've tried to avoid putting the air blades in too tall of stacks up on the top area because I just didn't want that look. I'm about to move the air blades all from this area up top just because it'll help cut down some of that air blade noise below. And you can see, as I said, I added lights. I've tied them into the air blade power. So anytime the air blades are on, the lights will be on. And I went with red, of course, because, you know, you gotta have that red look for some spicy peppers. So one thing I've been thinking about is, while I kind of like the comms array look to it, we really don't need that many radars. And more importantly, this one's so close to the door, I feel like I want to take these 2 off. So we have just the 2 on the front side that are away from the door, which is technically at the back of everything. And that frees up some room for a little bit more creative stuff that I could do, making use of the conveyor connection right there. And I actually do have an idea for something to do with that conveyor connector. Okay, so what I've created here is basically, while I left it open, you can run a long connection tube down for water pumps. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could just have water pumps already on it, and you have like a switch that drops them down into the water, or, you know, lowers them to a certain point. They still have enough, you know, connection length to reach the power, and it basically drops them down, and you just have to watch and see how that works. So we're going to see if this will work. I am not very familiar with the winches other than trying to use them unsuccessfully to flip a vehicle, and the occasional thing with winches and carrying stuff. And oh wow, that is a very long drop. That is not going to work for powering a whole setup. That is definitely not going to work. I just want to try this. So that should work fine. You know, just cut the power, they turn off, turn the power on, they're already on. I'm gonna see how this works. I want to get a good view of this. Wow, okay, so it apparently pulled the entire vehicle down a bit. It actually lowered the vehicle, I guess because it acted like it was stuck in the ground, and it broke the winch connection. So besides the fact that it dropped way farther down than the power connector would work, that's just not going to work. I mean, it flipped all over the place. And so, same problem again. I took the lower air blades off and added them to the top of the upper stacks. So there's 13 on each stack. So I have a total of 104 air blades now, as opposed to the 106 that I had at the start of this. And it's not lifting again. It's just not lifting. Let's see. Okay, it slowly lowers down. So I guess it's a good thing I did put some struts back on there, because once again, it's acting so weird. I mean, I've got 2 air blades less than what I had before, and it's not lifting, even though I lifted it up with less than this and flew it perfectly fine last video. And I've turned everything off, turned it back on, and now it's lifting up again, and is actually continuing to go up. Yes, it is, but very slowly. So one of the reasons I put the air blades on the lower level was I wanted to see if that had any effect on how quickly this could lift upwards. And last video, it worked for a little while, where it lifted up very quickly, a lot faster than this. This is, I mean, it's lifting, but it's lifting slowly. I just don't get it. It worked well at the end of the last video, and then the next time I played, it would not lift at all if the lower air blades were turned on at a separate time from the upper air blades. So I put them all on their own, you know, separate switch for all air blades, and then it stopped working, period, when I moved the air blades, put more air blades underneath, and then I did it again today, and this time it worked again when I turned them off and on separately, and it lifted, but not lifted as fast as it did last episode, where it actually had fewer air blades than it had at the start of this, and it still lifted up faster last time. And now I've got more air blades than I had last time, and it's barely lifting up at all, really. And so I've added one more little piece, because while this is meant to be kind of like that mobile base, once you have it, this is where everything is, you know, based out of, you will occasionally still need to be building through a replicator, some smaller designs at least. So I have added a connection that comes up from below for a replicator, and we're going to toss it in, and we just make sure I can get it lined up right there. We'll do it where it's, you know, the magical glow from a laser beam that ignores all physical objects. Right there. It's so powerful that it goes through physical objects, and as a result, we're gonna have super powered replicator to make new stuff. And so there it is, flying up in the sky, up above the rest of my base. I am actually at that point, I'm like, you know, I'm done. I've done some cosmetic work today. I have moved the air blades around, trying to figure out why it's acting so weird. And I'm really at that point saying I'm done with this design. I am, as a lofty goal it was, and I am getting to that point of completing it. But it's also just helped to highlight more of the performance issues in the game, and just more quirks with the game. And it's really burned me out on the game, honestly. I am ready to just call it an end to the design, and I think the game for a good while, because this doesn't make me want to build anymore. Hopefully some of you will watch this and have some comments on, yes, you should put the air blades back below. That will help with the lift acceleration. Not sure why they were, you know, acting funny, but we'll see. Maybe some suggestions will come in that'll help. As far as the overall design, it's not quite what I envisioned originally, but it is for the most part there. We have hangar bays for the smaller vehicles with storage. So it's kind of like the transport and, you know, the logistics element of it. And then you have the parking spaces for the bigger vessels. So if it's like a space station, that'd be where everybody comes and parks their stuff while they visit. We have a nice little apartment area, which I might trim back just to alleviate some of the weight. I'm not sure yet on that. That might be a later thing to try and balance this out more. It still leans a little bit too much for my taste. All right, so that's it for this episode of Planet Nomads. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Like I said, leave me a comment below if you have any suggestions for the AIRBLADE issue I experienced. And of course, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Spicy. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to keep it spicy this week, and I'll see you in the next video.